All right, guys, here we are. This is Brad with more coaching again, speaking into the series about following your dreams. I have such a special guest for you today. His name is Peter Scott, and he was my very first coach. And I am so honored to have you here today, Peter. You have really helped me in so many ways, and we haven't even worked together for years. And I have never forgotten some of the biggest, epiphanies and insights that I've ever had, like ever. And so I would love for you to tell people what you do, why it's important to you, and then we'll just dive into the questions for you.
I love it, Brad. Thank you for having me, brother. It's amazing seeing your
Yeah.
evolution. So this is a gift. So hello, everybody. What do I do? My name is Peter Scott, and I founded a company called Fearless Coach Academy. And we teach coaches at the end of the day how to generate leads and get clients online. And that's what we're really good at, is teaching them how to grow their audience and how to package their life experience, their expertise into ways to deliver tremendous value that lasts significantly in people's lives. So I am incredibly passionate, Brad, about what I do, as you know. And it's crazy because I didn't start doing that. When I started my coaching business, it wasn't teaching coaches how to grow a business because I didn't have any clients yet. You know what I mean? But I started in a very unique area, and I'd love to share a little bit about that because I think it's very relatable and valuable to the people in this series with wanting to strive for more. Because when I started, my niche or my passion was helping people basically overcome their fears, their fear of failure, their fear of judgment, their fear of rejection. And the reason is because I feel like everything that we desire is literally on the other side of our fears, right? And whether it's the relationship that we want, or the health level of health and vitality that we want, or the income and the impact that we want. And so I became a student of this, and I became really passionate about helping others because my entire life was consumed by fear, like completely consumed by fear. Does it make sense to share a little bit of that background at all, Brad?
Yeah, because I was just going to dive into the questions that we were going over. So start with, what was your childhood like, and how did that set you up to have this realization that I know what I want to do?
Yeah, I didn't discover it as a child. I'll say that. It took me a few years after that. But my childhood, I look back and I'm tremendously grateful, and not for like the great memories, but also the chaos. I wrote a book a bunch of years ago called The Fearless Mindset, and one of the chapters is called Raised in Chaos, because I felt like I was.
I want to just say something really quick because I told you, but I want to say it again to the people who are watching. I literally felt that you wrote that book with me in mind when I read that book. Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
good.
Thank you. Thank you. And so, yeah, I was raised by two very loving parents. They separated when I was really early, about 6 months old. So they had their own challenges in the relationship. And the biggest challenge was that I grew up with these two parents who struggled with alcoholism and drug addiction. And it was very, very dominating in their life. In fact, I remember that there was a moment when I was 12 years old, and this is when like I started to formulate how this was impacting me. Earlier than that, I didn't really get it, but at 12, I started to connect the dots. And I remember sitting down in a courtroom with my grandparents on my left, an attorney on my right, and my mother directly across from me. And at 12 years old, I had to look into my mom's eyes and tell her that I no longer felt safe living with her because of her alcoholism. Just imagine that for a moment. Like,
I can't.
devastating, absolutely devastating. It crushed her, it crushed me. And I had no idea what sort of impact that would have in my life. But what it did is it created a need to seek love and approval from outside of myself, because I felt like I was missing it. And again, I don't want to throw my mom under the bus in this story because she's my hero. Like her and I are going this weekend to Sedona to celebrate her 70th birthday. And
Nice.
She's been sober for over 22 years now. So like, let's celebrate her because she's amazing.
So good.
Yeah. And she's had her challenges, earlier on for sure. And what happened was like, I became this chameleon at a very young age. I became this people pleaser who sought love and approval outside of himself. And I don't know if you can relate that or anyone watching this, but it really led me to lead a life that was one that I wasn't happy about. I wasn't passionate about it. You know, fast forward, I was in my early 20s. I graduate college. I go off to start my career living in Chicago, working in investment banking of all things, right? Like working 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week. I know you have you've worked very hard in your life, Brad, so you get it. And it was doing something that I wasn't passionate about, right? I wasn't geared to like crunch numbers in Excel. And again, some people are, but for me, it wasn't my passion. But I did it because my family approved of it, right? And I just remember watching year after year go by, thinking like, what am I doing with my life? Like, am I really willing to invest the majority of my life into a career that doesn't bring me joy, even if I made great money? And the other pivotal event was when I was 25, my dad got really sick. And I remember going to hospice to see him, and he was 60, he was young. And I remember asking him, Dad, he was battling with alcoholism as well. In fact, that's why he ended up, passing at an early age. And I asked him, Dad, why did you do this to yourself? And why did you do this to me? And he looked at me and he said, Peter, because I was afraid. He was afraid. Here's the takeaway here. He was afraid of not living up to his parents' expectations. And so he kind of drowned his dreams, and he drowned his aspirations and his ambitions. And that's exactly what I was doing in my 20s. I was literally going down the same path. And sometimes our most painful life experiences are our greatest teachers.
Absolutely.
And I remember taking that moment, and as he transitioned, like making a decision that from this moment forth, I'm no longer going to let these fears and these doubts and these insecurities stop me. And that's what led me on the journey, Brad, to get into coaching. Man, I didn't decide in that moment. Like, I had a couple working as a coach in other companies, but that was the moment where it put life in perspective of how fragile it is. And it just created this fuel, this desire, this fire to never, reach that point in my life filled with regret, which is what my dad was experiencing at the time.
Oh, that's such a great story. And I just want to add on that, and you probably know this because you felt it, like in your body, felt it. Like, I'm not going to be at the end of my life regretting all of my life decisions, right? Because that's the biggest regret that people have, is not following their passion, not following their dream, not following what brings them joy, because they have to work and they have to make money, and this is an acceptable way, and this is too risky in a not acceptable way, and you've made it work. And so I would love for you to share with people, because I think this is a great transition question, is what are 3 things you wish someone had told you or showed you just about life in general that you feel would have set you up better to have maybe, I don't say an easier experience, but maybe a better understanding of life and how we get to travel through it?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that to boil it down into 3 is challenging, but I'd say the first thing that comes to mind is that this vision that we have, right? It is not like success, right? Whatever your version or definition of success is, whether it's, impact and changing people's lives, or is it, having a great family, or is it making a lot of money, whatever it is, it's not this one event. It's a process of many little things, many little steps. And we live in the world of personal development, right? If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, then you are a committed seeker, which is beautiful. And a lot of great teachers have conditioned us to believe that, life is this easy button. You push this button and magic happens. And yes, there are moments of flow and moments of magic in life for sure. And there's a process. And so being patient on your path and actually enjoying the journey, even when there are setbacks, even when there are obstacles, are something that I wish I learned earlier. and I still need to remind myself of those because I can fall into that trap of, I want results overnight and, success without effort and all those things because they sound great, right? But it takes work, it takes dedication, it takes commitment, it takes sacrifice. And so the first thing is to remind yourself to enjoy that journey, right? That's a really important thing. The second thing is to surround yourself with people who believe in you. When I transitioned from my job, when I quit investment banking, when I launched my coaching business, certain members of my family didn't support me. And it shocked me. Like I was expecting, of course, they just want me to be happy, right? I'm like, if this makes me happy, why wouldn't they be happy? But what they wanted me more to be happy was they wanted me to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And entrepreneurship, for some people, doesn't seem to be safe, even though I think it's honestly safer than having a job. But at the end of the day, my certain family members were like, what are you doing? This is crazy. And there was so much discouragement. There was so much resistance. There was so much, who do you think you are? You don't have letters at the end of your name. You don't have this accolade yet, and I had to let go of the need for their approval. So that's the second one, is your life will be a lot more fun and a lot more extraordinary when you release that need for approval from others. And as a recovering people pleaser, again, I'm not, I haven't arrived at the destination here. This is a work in process for me.
Right.
I'd say that's number two, is surround yourself with people. Well, I guess that's number two and number three. Surround yourself with people that believe in you, because there will be plenty of people that do. Sometimes it's close friends. Sometimes it's a coach that you work with. And the second thing is, for those that don't, but still love you, let go of your need for their approval. Because when you live a life without that need, it just becomes a lot more fun.
A lot more fun. So I'd love to speak into that. Let's go a little bit off script. And how did you learn to enjoy going through the obstacles?
To reframe the story or the experience of them, to notice that like any of the setbacks, right, that I had actually helped craft or chisel the character that I needed, the character traits, right, the resilience, the perseverance. So when there was a setback, I'd say, okay, this is a signpost. This is a sign that I'm actually on the right path here. So imagine like an analogy I use is, a lot of people think they need to have a crystal clear vision of everything, every step of the way, from where they are now to where they want to be years from now, right? And I get it. It's nice to have that. And it's important to start working on your vision. But the reality is, right, to see every single step, it's unrealistic to expect that. Imagine that, you're walking through a cave with nothing but a flashlight. And you have an idea of where the destination is. And as you move through, you can't see the destination. All you can see is a few feet in front of you. But every step that you're taking, more and more that path becomes illuminated. And you may discover that at certain points and certain turns, you're on the wrong path and you need to course correct. But the only way to course correct is if you had put that foot in front of the other anyway to start to discover that in the first place. So those obstacles to me are like, okay, good. Here's a challenge. I got feedback. This didn't work. What do I need to do to pivot? And if I don't take that action, if I just stay stuck, planted with my feet as if I'm in cement, then there's no possible way for me to face an obstacle and move through it. I'm literally just not making any progress.
Right.
So that's the thing, is like that clarity that we seek, that clarity, it's a result, not a requirement. Like to wait around for clarity, wait around for a path that has no obstacles. You may find yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now in the same spot.
Exact same spot. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked before the call about burn the ships, right?
Yes.
So there's no back door.
Yeah.
And I remember how much you were in support of me for doing that. And I sold my house and took all my money and moved to San Diego and did the burn the ships process. Tell people your belief about having a plan B. And is it important to have a plan B? If so, if not, why is that?
Yeah. I would say now that I have a little bit more life experience, I would say it depends on somebody's personality style. Okay. Because for me, I didn't have a plan B. I completely only had plan A, and that was the only thing. And it worked out really well. When I launched my coaching business, what happened was I had actually, I was working in investment banking, and I discovered that I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. And so, or I'm sorry, that's not true. I was in transition. I was working at a coaching company.
Right.
And I remember having an opportunity to launch my coaching business, but being terrified of that, right? And saying, you know what, I could probably tap my network and go and find another safe job in investment banking and get paid really well. Or I could work with this business coach who at the time cost $20,000 of money that I didn't have, right? I had to literally similarly use credit card debt, take on, all those things. And it literally burned the boats. Like there was no room for retreat. And that was exactly what I needed, because if I hadn't, like knowing me, I would have not gone all in. I would have played smaller in the way that I did. So it didn't matter about my fears and my doubts and my insecurities. They were there. I'm not saying that they didn't matter, but I'm saying that they didn't stop me because I didn't allow them to. Like it wasn't a choice, right? So for me, having only plan A, no plan B is great. And some personalities, right, may need a little bit more security. Security and certainty are not as high of values for me as they are for others. So honestly, it depends. In a perfect world, I'd say, screw the plan B, let's get rid of it, go all in. And there's ways to do that that still feel safe. Because when you're building a business, or when you're asking that person out, or when you're starting the new health and fitness transformation, there's always the risk of failure, right? And in fact, there's not even a risk, there's a guarantee. Like we are going to fail over and over and over again, right? Why not welcome that as the obstacle? Why not welcome that and say, okay, good, I'm one step closer to where I need to be. So that's kind of what I would suggest is, generally speaking, I don't like plan Bs. I like to say go all in, burn the boats. And depending on someone's personality style, what are the things that you need to do to set you up so that there's a place of safety and security so that you can then take the leap? And again, know that you may not feel 100% safe, 100% secure at that point. That's okay. But enough to just say, I'm doing this now. And again, there's always things that you can do to prevent failure. There's always things that you can do to repair it.
I love that, because when you and I were working together, I still had a great amount of fear of failure. And since then, I've gone through enough life experiences to know, like, okay, I know what that feels like. I can handle that. If that ever happened again, I'm totally okay. I can completely handle that. It's not the greatest or most pleasant experience, and I'm no longer afraid of it. So what can you tell people? Because, I think through social and cultural programming and just the programs we watch, the news that we watch, the advertising and everything, call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think it's meant to have us play small, and we substitute safety instead of looking for opportunity. So what can you share with people to help them understand that what they're going to experience with asking that person out or looking for a new job or whatever it might be, is what can you share with them to help them understand that everything that they're about to experience on this journey, whether it's weight loss or starting their own business, asking somebody out, maybe they want to travel the world, but all of those decisions come with some sort of like, okay, if I make this decision, then I'm going to lose out on another opportunity over here, or this is too big. This is too big for me. I don't get to have something this big. What can you share with people to help them understand that, yes, they absolutely can have that. That is meant for them.
Yeah. First, I'd say, let's talk about decisions, because I think the ultimate fear, right, is making the wrong decision.
Right.
Let's say
That's
somebody
correct.
goes in and quits their job and they want to launch a business. What if it doesn't work out? The fear, right, of that decision could paralyze them.
Yeah.
What I've conditioned myself to believe, and I don't know who said this, somebody far more brilliant than me, but somebody said, The best decision that you can make, of course, is the right one, right? The second best is the wrong decision. And the worst is no decision at all, is paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
And so I can't guarantee that that vision is going to go exactly as you envision, right? But what I can guarantee is that decision upon decision upon decision in the direction of that is absolutely going to take you in the right direction. And if you discover moments where you've gone off the path, right, then that's when you can reset that course. So that's the biggest thing, is like knowing that, how can I get so committed to this vision and create the best plan that I can and take actions toward it without the attachment to how it plays out?
Yeah.
And how can you welcome that uncertainty? I mean, think about what all of us humans just experienced the last 2-3 years of our lives.
Right.
Right? Like, my gosh, did anyone expect anything like this? No. And every single one of us figured out how to pivot, how to change our lives, you know what I mean? And we're in a place that we're at now. So yeah, that's what I would recommend.
And I love that. And, I think that when people can also incorporate the ability to accept that it might not look the way that they thought it should, but what if it looked even better, right? What if it turned out even better than they expected? And I think that people forget that part of uncertainty and letting go of what they think it's supposed to look like. I know for me, I got so caught up in, being successful right away and like, oh, this is amazing. And then it got hard. It's like, well, I didn't expect that.
Totally.
But what that taught me was I can live through that. And so for everyone watching, what I really hope one of your takeaways is there's also excitement in uncertainty. There's fear and there's excitement, and they both register in the same part of the brain. So what do you want to focus on? Do you want to focus on the excitement, or do you want to focus on the fear?
Yeah, it's literally, Brad, to your point, it's the same exact physiological experience. Like, there's been fMRIs done, and 2 different people, it's one or a person experiencing fear and then experiencing excitement, and literally the same exact part of the brain lights up. There's no physiological difference other than the label that we give it.
Yeah. And it's so funny. I've even done that experiment with myself where I started to feel fear, and I actually stopped myself and go, well, wait a minute. Am I actually feeling fear because that's what my body grew up with? Or am I feeling excitement, but it feels just like fear?
Yes.
And I'm calling it fear. And I find a lot of the times, not every time, a lot of the times it's actually excitement.
Yep.
And I have to remind myself that, oh, right, this is what excitement feels like. This is the good part of that quote unquote nervous energy running through my body.
Yep. You nailed it. I love there's rational fears and there's irrational fears, right? Irrational fears keep us alive, right? If you are being chased by a lion, that fight or flight response, that's a good thing. I want you to feel that, okay? That's good. But if you feel that same terror when you step on stage, or when you ask that person out, or when you do something like that, that is not keeping you alive. That's keeping you from living.
Yeah.
And so that's the question: is this keeping me alive, or is this keeping me from living? Is this protecting me, or is this holding me back because of the uncertainty, because of the unknown?
Yeah, exactly. All right, my friend, we are almost out of time. So I've got 2 things I want to do.
Yes.
One is I want to ask you one last question, and then I want you to promote anything that you want. Your book, a free call with you, joining your Facebook group, becoming a private client, whatever you want to promote. I want you to have the opportunity to capitalize on people watching you, because you have so much to offer people, and you've been through so much. I don't know a person that you probably could not relate to, but you have, and literally your fearless, experience weekend that I went through with you. I mean, so much, and I want you to be able to reap the rewards as much as I can offer that for you.
Thank you.
All right. So last question is, why is it important for people to have dreams and goals?
To keep going. Like, life will and has knocked us down, right? And so if we don't have a clear dream and if we don't have goals that pull us through those hard times, when we feel alone, when we're feeling like the world's against us. And I don't want to project that out and create that possibility, but I know that many of us can relate to that, right? There's been stages in life when we experience that. When I stay connected to the dream, when I stay connected to the goal, it pulls me through. It gets me up in the morning when I don't want to get up, right? And when I let it be more focused on how do I serve? How do I focus out on others? Then how do I focus on feeling this certain way? And yes, I'm not neglecting your emotions and your feelings. Absolutely, that's important. That can make all the difference in the world. So as you do that, right, and be relentless in setting these dreams and setting these goals, because you will find that you will accomplish them. And then when you accomplish them, guess what? What's the new goal? What's the new dream? That's going to continue to pull through extraordinary times, but also some of the challenging times.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So here's your opportunity, my friend. As one way of, as just a small way of saying thank you, please promote anything that you want to, and let's make sure people know how to get a hold of you. So after our call, will you please send me all the different links that lead to you, and I'll make sure and post them.
Totally, I will. Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity.
Of course.
I think that since we talk so much about fear, right? We talk so much about dreams and vision and setbacks. I think it's just a great place to start is my book. You know, I appreciate, Brad, that you recommended that. So that's a cool thing. You can check out The Fearless Mindset. It's available on Amazon. It actually looks like this behind me. I'm pointing to it right now. That's it.
Yeah, I was looking at it.
Yeah, so that's available if any of you want to get it. Super affordable. And then if any of you are coaches or consultants or speakers and you want to get your message out there and grow a business around it, that's what we're really good at. So we have a private Facebook group. We do a ton of free trainings, Facebook Lives every single week. We share unbelievable resources that help people, like, you know, enroll clients and fill their calendar with sales calls. That can be found for free on Facebook. It's just called Six Figure Coach Secrets. And I'll send a link to you, Brad, if you want to share that. And
Yes,
then
I will.
Honestly, I think if you find me on Facebook, Peter Scott, you can send me a friend request. I'd love to stay connected. We give a ton of resources in our Facebook group, and there's probably other ways to, you know, to talk about programs and stuff like that, but I want to give the free stuff first. So
yes, perfect.
yeah.
Well, Peter, thank you so much, brother. I freaking love you. I have never forgotten anything that we've done together. I share so much of my history with you, with my clients, and just people for free. And I'm just so grateful for you.
Thank you, Brad. I really appreciate you, brother. I love you as well. And I appreciate you interviewing me today.
Of course. Well, thank you. Have a wonderful day, and I will talk with you soon, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Take care.